Please put in your class groups that we are about starting so they should join, okay?
Yes, please.
So it's 6:11 here. I'll start around 6:15. So whilst we are waiting for the others, you can get your slides, your hard copies, the one that you printed out, so that we can move along. So today I'll be treating I think just 2 units. So I was thinking, most of the time I'll give you some few minutes break, either 10 minutes or 20 minutes. Our first meeting made it 10 minutes, and then just on Sunday we had 20 minutes. So I'm asking, okay, should I give you the I want to I'll close, I might close I think an hour before time or an hour and 30 minutes before time. So I'm asking, do you still want the break? We can come back, or I should just discuss everything with you closely, then you can have the rest of the day to yourselves. Hello.
Hello,
Madam, please
madam.
let's do everything.
Yes, same here. We don't want any break.
Break, yeah.
Okay, I've heard from just two people. Are the others okay with it? I've heard from just two people, and I'm
Yes,
asking the.
madam.
All right,
Good
I'm
evening,
glad.
madam. Please, let's go on.
All right, I'm glad you all agree to this. So I'll start the class when it's six. Okay, I'll start the class when it's 6:15. It's 6:12 right now. So let's wait for like 3 minutes for your friends, and then we start. I guess it's 6:15 at your end, because at my end it's 6:15. I think, let me check the number of people around. It's not a bad number, so we can start the class. Once again, good evening to everyone if you're not joining us. We are okay. Those who just joined us, I think you weren't around when we discussed this. I'll close early, so today we don't have any breaks. I might end an hour or an hour and a half before our regular time, so that I can have the rest of the time to read some of your notes and then prepare for our next class. So we are on unit 2 of our course outline, and then today we'll be discussing house forms. As we always do, if the network is unstable and then you are not hearing my voice, the course reps should please kindly call me. Okay, and then if you have a question, if I can't say it here, you can just unmute yourself and then ask the question. Please, can we start the class? I just want to know if you're around. Hello. Can you all hear me?
Yes, please, madam.
All right.
Yes, madam.
Thank you. So let me ask this question. Have you ever been to a place and then you
Yes,
realize
ma'am.
you realize that where you went, there are some particular features, okay, and these features are common amongst the houses you see in that environment or the housing environments. You can see some peculiar features which are are common to the first building that you saw, to the last building that you saw, to every place that you visited. With these particular peculiar designs that I'm talking about, it can be how the house was built, okay, the structure, the design of it, some of the things that they use in their houses, and even just everything around the house. Have you ever experienced such a situation before? Have you had such an encounter before?
Yes.
Okay, please, where did you find such an environment, and what did you see? That's
Uh,
up.
uh,
You are listening. Hello. Hello.
Hello, madam.
Yes, we are listening.
Madam, please, I think the northern part of Ghana, my hometown precisely, Upper West. My first
Oh,
time being there, I saw that the houses, they were all round. Majority of the houses were round in shape. All of them were round in shape. I think that was a particular thing I noticed over there.
all right. Thank you very much for your experience, for sharing with us your experience. And then who else? Who else had such an experience and wants to share with the class? Hello. I'm not sure I'm here with only Madam Evelyn. Hello.
hello, madam.
Yes,
Hello,
Madam
madam.
Gifty. Yes, Madam Gifty. Have you had such an experience?
Madam, when you go to Kumasi around Edum and Asafu side,
Okay.
the building that they usually build at the olden time were story building. That is one, and it is always in a round shape with courtyard in which they will be able to come out to do their some of their activities like washing and cooking. So most of them they have that shape um, building.
In their buildings. Okay.
Yes.
All right, thank you. And then one last person, Madam
Hello,
Alice.
madam.
Yes, Madam
Good
Alice.
evening, madam.
Good evening, Madam
Madam,
Alice.
please, I'll also say how bungalows are built. Teachers' bungalows.
Okay.
They have the same shape, the same style and design. So,
and they are almost the same in almost every school, right?
Yes, please. With the
Except
same rooms.
private schools, but the traditional ones, they are almost the same everywhere. All right, thank you very much for sharing your experiences with me. So let's move. Let me share my screen, and then I hope you all can see my screen, right?
Yes, madam.
Yes, madam.
Okay. So from your experiences, it basically describes what we were talking about today. Okay, we're talking about house forms. House forms. So what you shared with us, how the houses are. Okay, Madam Evelyn talked about how round their houses are. Madam Gifty also talked about most of them are story buildings, and then Madam Alice also talked about the teachers' bungalow, how they are. Okay, so basically we are talking about house forms, and then when we say house form, we are talking about the physical characteristics of a house, the basic shape of the house or the basic style of the house. So we can talk of the windows, how the doors are, the roofings used, the number of rooms they have, the environment, some things that they are common. They are just what describes the house forms. So the common house forms that we have are cottage houses, bungalow houses, ranch style houses, town hall houses, we have courtyard houses, we have a lot. We discussed some just last week, Thursday. So those house forms that you see in that particular area, okay, there are some factors that account for the design they have at that place. If all the houses are round in shape, there are some factors or there are things which led to family A building the same house or the same house design as family B. So Amos Rappaport in 1969, he had an article which was termed as the house forms and then culture. Okay. He identified that there are factors such as fiscal factors. And the fiscal factors, we have climate, the need for shelter, materials and technology, the sites, social influence. We have also, as I said, fiscal factors, we have social influence and we have social cultural factors. And all these factors account for why there are some particular type of building or there are some particular things in a building, a house in an area. So we will talk about those factors that he identified. The first one is climate and the need for shelter. Climate and the need for shelter. We define climate as the average weather condition of a place. And then to say this place has this kind of climate, it is assessed over a period of 30 years. So after 30 years, you can boldly say this locality, the location has a climatic condition which is associated to this. Okay, so there are patterns like or elements like the rainfall pattern will determine the climatic condition of that place. We have the solar or the sunshine pattern. We have humidity. We have precipitation, atmospheric pressure, and rain will all determine what climate a particular place has. So the climate, we have the tropical climate, we have the dry climate, temperate climate, continental, and the polar zone climate. They are the 5 basic climatic zones that we have. Ghana here our climatic condition is termed as a tropical climate because of the warm and the humid conditions that we have. We experience two seasons here. We have the dry and then the wet season, which accounted for us having the tropical climate. Bevan and Michelle in 1992 observed that climate is seen in several geographical areas where the characteristics of the rainfall, the temperature, and the wind will determine what we build, the kind of houses we build. So in view of this, he said the tropics can be divided into 4 zones, which are the warm, humid equatorial climate, the hot, dry desert climate, composite or monsoon climate, and the tropical upland climates. Let's talk about the first one, the warm, humid equatorial climate. When we say warm, humid climate, then we mean such an environment has hot air, okay, but it's also full of moisture. So such a place has high temperature that is usually above 25 degrees Celsius, and it also has high humidity. When you talk about humidity, the amount of moisture in the air, and it's throughout the year. Such an environment has 2 rainy seasons. They experience heavy rainfall and also have little temperature variation during the daytime and the nighttime. The weather is consistently warm, so there's no difference between how hot it is during the day and then how cool it gets at night. It's almost the same. This kind of climate is experienced by those in the coastal areas. So coastal areas in every country, those around the coastal areas experience such kind of a climate. We have those in West Africa, we have Southeast Asia, South America, Central Africa. These people experience it. When it comes to Ghana, to those around the coastal, those regions around the coastal areas also experience such climates. So how does this climate affect the house forms? In such climates, traditional structures employ comfort inside their house by building their houses with thick, insulated, overhanging roof. Let's take it again. They build their houses with thick, insulated, overhanging roof. This means that the roof is built with material that prevents heat from entering the house easily. That's why it's insulated. And then when I'm talking of overhanging, the roof stretches out beyond the walls. They use materials such as clay, cement to build such roofing. The reason why they employ such a design in building their house is that the thick roofing will block the direct sunlight that comes inside the house. Okay. So it will block it. They will not receive such direct sunlight. And the overhanging roof will serve as a shield. To protect their houses from rain. It will protect their windows also from rain, and then it will protect their doors also from rain. So it's like most of houses have a small roofing sheet that they attach at their kitchen windows or some of their windows, so that it rains and it comes into that direction. It does not enter the
We
house.
can't hear. Oh, the line is breaking.
It's what can you hear me now?
In fact, so far I've not heard anything.
Can you hear me now? Hello.
Ma, please, your line keeps on breaking.
So is it okay now? Is it okay now? Hello.
It's,
Hello.
it's a bit okay.
It's a bit
I
okay.
don't know for the others,
So
but
please
for
hold.
me, yeah, I don't know for everybody.
Please aside Madam Angela, who are you okay with my voice right now? Is the network okay at your end?
Yes, please.
Yes,
Yes,
please.
please.
Yes,
Please, what was
madam.
the last thing you heard from me? What was the last thing you heard?
The overhanging roof cells are the shield for against
Okay,
I
okay,
think the sun.
okay.
Mm.
So let me take it all over again. So I was talking about the warm, humid equatorial climate, and I said in building their houses, they build they protect the inside of their house with thick insulated overhanging roof. And I was explaining further that I hope it's okay now. Hello.
Yes, please.
Okay, thank you very much. And thank you for prompting me when it went off. So I was explaining that sometimes when it rains and it comes in a particular direction, it sometimes enters your house. So people tend to put some small roofing to cover just their windows or their doors. But with overhanging roof, it is stretched, okay? It serves as a way that it can also protect if you don't have a small it is just recently that people have we have the roofing sheets that people employed use the roofing sheets, but those times those traditional houses employ those overhanging roofs to serve as shield to cover to block the sunlight and then the wind from the wind accompanied with the rain from entering their houses. Okay. So, and then they also ensure ventilation by cooling through evaporation of perspiration with their opposite walls opposite open to the breeze. So this is done by placing their openings. I'm talking about their windows to for ventilation to occur, which your windows should be opposite each other. Okay, so when it is open to the breeze, like it is facing the breeze, and then the air blows into that direction, it passes the first side and then it pushes the heat trapped inside through the other side, and then we will have ventilation in the house. And then the second one that we'll talk about is the hot, dry desert climate. Hot, dry desert climate. This type of climate has extremely high temperature. The hot, dry climate. That's why we term it as hot, and then it is dry. This is due to the lack of rainfall. I'm not saying they don't experience rainfall. They experience it, but it's not as much as compared to what they have in the warm, humid equatorial climates. They have low humidity. They have intense sunshine. Okay. As such, there's a large difference between the temperatures that they have during the day and then the temperatures that they have during the night. So this type of climate is typically found in North Africa, where we have the Saharan deserts. We have the desert in Saudi Arabia, Austria, Arizona, in USA, and then we have in Ghana too when it comes to the Upper East region. They experience such climate over there. So houses are built with thick walls to keep heat out during the day and hold warmth at night. So if Madam Evelyn can recount, if she when she went there, when she went there, as much as the houses were round in nature, in shape, their walls were thicker than what we have south here. Okay, they build their houses with thick walls to keep the heat out during the day and then hold warm at night. The thick wall absorbs the heat during the night, during the day. During the day it shines a lot, so the thick wall will absorb it, and then during the evening it will slowly release it, so that it will balance the temperature in the room. So this helps to keep the room cooler during the day and then warmer at night. And then they have flat roofs. Most of their roofs are flat. They have flat roofs because there's little or no rain, and then sometimes the flat roofs are used as sleeping areas during hot nights. So when it's really hot at night, they will come out and then sleep on their flat roofs like that. There's also minimal opening to avoid glare. Most of their windows are smaller in sizes than what we have south here. They have it to avoid glare. Glare is when, when we've all had this experience when someone throws a torchlight in your eyes, or the reflection when someone throws light in a mirror and then it reflects into your eye. That sensation that you have, okay, is the same that happens when there's intense sunshine in a particular area. So they tend to have small opening to avoid glare and also to avoid dust. In those hot, dry desert climates, dust, like they have a lot of dust over there because of the nature of their air. Okay, it's very dry, so it has evaporated all the moisture in it. So most of their air carries dust. So if they have small openings like that will surely enter the house, but it won't enter as much as when they have bigger openings. And then they also employ close gardening. They build gardens, but it's closer to their house. Okay, their gardens are to provide shade. So if you watch such an environment, they might have just a tree. It can be just a tree or just a plant which provides shades, because they have less plants over there. So such plants can provide shade and then also improve on the humidity in the environment. And then the third one is composite or monsoon climate. Composite, and then it can also be called the monsoon climate. So this is a mixture of the different weather conditions that we talked about. We have the hot, dry, and then the warm, humid. So they have, sometimes it's hot, dry, sometimes it's warm, humid. So the weather is not really stable over there. It changes from time to time. So we have parts of Middle East, Asia, Southeast Asia, West Africa, and then Northern India. They experience such weather or climates. So because of this variation, traditional buildings over there are designed to adapt to both extremes, when it's hot, dry, when it's warm. Okay, from time to time I'll be saying hello so that I'll know that the network hasn't gone off. So if I say hello, you just unmute yourself and then you can continue your class. So hello, please, are we still around?
Please, yes.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So when you go to such an environment, you see features of what we discussed earlier, houses, features of houses in hot, dry climates, and then they have houses like those in the warm, humid climate. So houses use materials like bamboo and earth blocks because they don't store a lot of heat. They have low thermal capacity, and then these bamboos and then earth blocks can heat up and cool down quickly, which is helpful in that climate when the temperature changes. So it can support them during the hot, dry climate. It can also support them during the hot, warm, humid climate. The bamboos also allow air to pass through. That is making it good for ventilation during humid times. And then they also have wind towers. Wind towers in our time, you can say they are like air conditioners. Okay. It's an ancient form of air conditioners where these wind, they are tall towers that will trap air and then direct it into their houses. So most of the houses in such climates have wind towers. And then the last one that we talk about is the tropical upland climate. Tropical upland climate. So this climate is found in highlands or mountainous areas within the tropic areas. So you have in East Africa, Kenya and Ethiopia highlands, they have such climate. And then Ghana too, when you go to the Ahafo regions, you see, you experience such climate over there. These areas are elevated and then they have cooler temperatures than the surrounding lowlands because their regions are kind of upper or higher than those of us in our south here. We are at the lowlands. They have mild or cool temperatures. And then they have one rainy season. It is one. Unlike it can be a small location in it, like when it comes to Ghana, you can have an area like that, okay. But we all can have 2 seasons, but just at that particular place, they will experience just one. I don't know if you are getting what I'm saying. We will be, the whole country will be experiencing 2, but they will experience one more than the other. And the one that they will experience is a rainy season more than the dry season that we have. They have just one season. It rains almost throughout the year, almost every day. So that accounts for them having just one rainy season, unlike the rest of us. They have slow and then gentle wind. So the air movement is calm but steady. They have slow air movements. And then there's big difference between day and night temperature. Unlike the others that there are little differences between day and night temperature. Daytime can be warm, whilst night can be cooler. Okay, so houses are built with materials that can hold heat. Because of the how cold the places, they try to build houses which can trap heat when it shines a little. Okay, so they build with materials like stones, like mud bricks, and these have high thermal capacities. In Ghana, we have 3 belts according to the characteristics of rainfall patterns, and then these belts are groups according to the vegetations. Where with vegetation, we are talking about the grassland, the plants over there, and then we have the topography, the land area. Okay, is it hilly? Is it a valley? How the land is, and then we have social system. This one would dictate the kind of houses that people tend to build in their environment. So in northern parts of Ghana and other dry savanna areas where it is very hot during the day and cold during the night, traditional houses are shorter in height. We've already discovered that they are round in shape. Most of the traditional houses over there are round in shape. And then we had someone from that place who testified to that. They are built with thick walls with very small windows and doors and roofed with thatch. So the reason why their houses are shorter in height is that those areas that don't have trees. Trees serve as windbreaks. Okay, during most of the time when it's raining, it comes with strong winds, and then tree serves as windbreaks. They don't have much trees over there, so they tend to build their houses short so that whenever, in case of any um wind passing by to destroy their houses, like excess wind coming, like they don't it won't affect them. So they build their houses short like that, and then they have thick walls, as I explained earlier, so that they can retain maximum heat during the afternoon to keep their rooms warm during the night when the temperature drops. And then their walls are also round in shape so that the rays of the sun will not hit them directly. Okay, when it hits them directly, you feel the intense heat of this the sun rays. So they will build it round so that it will hit it at this side and then it will reflect at the other side. It will hit them perpendicularly instead of directly. And another example is the western part of Enzima, where it rains a lot. Those places will have the tropical upland climate because it rains most of the time over there. I know they might have some intimacy here, but who will testify to the fact that it rains more often over there than when you come to Kumasi, when you come to Accra? So at those places, because of the rain that rains mostly, they have the raffia palm, which grows often there. So most of their houses are roofed with such materials. Rappaport also observed that climate alone is not a determinant of house design. As much as he identified that the climate and the need for shelter can influence the way people build their houses, he also argues that there are other factors, okay, which can also influence a house design. So the other factors that he talked about are: one, sites. Sites. When you talk of sites, we are talking about the land area. The land area, okay. So the sites affect house forming. One, topography, the slope of the land. So if it's a flat land, it is easy for people to build wide, low houses. We have, when you go to every location, we have hilly environments, you have flat lands. Okay, irrespective of how your land, the site that you are, it will kind of influence how the structure of the building you erect at that place. So if it's a low land, it is very easy for you to have these flat houses, wide houses. But if the land is on a hill or a slope, you may need retaining walls or steep foundation to support the structure. So lately, I don't know if you've had that experience, but if you are walking around, you can check those houses on hilly areas. They have extra info. The land can be the mountain can be sloped. It can be in a different direction. Okay, but they will build in such a way that the house that they are building will not be as slanted as how the land the mountain is. Okay, and then it will influence the way people build their house. And then we will have the soil type. The soil type will also influence the way you build your house. Strong soils like rocky or clay soils will support heavy buildings. And then if you have weak or sandy soil, you may need lighter structure or special foundations to support such a building you want to a house you want to erect. So mostly people who build in waterlogged areas have special foundations. When I'm talking about special foundations, not like special, but like they are different than those who are building in areas which are not waterlogged. You see that you need more stones so to fill the land before you can even build on it. And then the orientation of the your land. With the orientation, I'm talking about the position of the sun and the wind will also influence how you position your windows and your doors. You might you might not want to face the sun directly, so you can position your windows at a different place so that when you wake up every morning, it's not like you are going to face the sun almost every day. So all these factors can influence the way you build your house. And then the sites, you can also talk about the vegetation and the natural features. When you have trees and bushes, around, you might end up building a tree house. Okay, so we have an example that one cannot have a floating house where there is no water. Floating houses are built on water, so if you don't have water on your land, you can't have a floating water. He also said sites alone cannot be a determinant of house form. There are instances where similar site conditions have resulted in very different house forms, and where similar forms have been built on very different sites all over the world. The next one that we have is materials, construction, and technology. Materials, construction, and technology. So then we first talk about materials. According to Michelle and Bevan, most traditional houses are constructed of the materials that are found in the immediate vicinity, using techniques developed or previous generations. So when you go to some communities, you see that I have experienced this thing. When I went to Kumasi, there's this place called in Fancy. So the first time that I went there, me in my head, if I see people building with bricks, I feel those people are just very, very rich people, okay? Because if you build with bricks other than building with the blocks that we have, I feel like only rich people afford those things. I know everyone can afford it, but in my mind at first I used to think that only rich people can afford it. But when I went there, I saw like old houses, and then they were having bricks. Someone can use the just bricks to even sometimes the rich people they'll build with their blocks, and then they'll use bricks for some special designs, just some parts of it. But these people, they had bricks all over, like the house was built with bricks. And I was wondering why how they could afford bricks, and I realized that it was so common in their area. It was and that's what they will use to kill it, because it's so common. Like you won't move like 10 steps and then you see someone making molding bricks. Like it's like every family molds bricks. So most of these people build with things that are easily found in their areas. Okay, if they don't have money to afford all those things, that those materials that they see on TVs, with houses on TVs having, they'll just use what they have in their area. So if palm is very abundant in their area, that is what they will use. They will have different variations of it. So some people can use it as their roofing, some people can use it as their walls, they can use it to design almost everything. We have the Eskimos as an example, those who live in igloos, okay, ice houses. In Ghana, you can't live in an igloo because we don't have ice here. But when you go to their place, it's in abundance. and they have no option than to use it to build their houses. Again, in Ghana, most traditional houses in the western region are roofed with bamboos because it's abundant and easy to get. They have a lot of bamboos over there, so they'll one way or other employ it in building their houses. He also reiterated the fact that the materials in themselves do not determine house forms. Okay, he cited instances as houses in the South Seas using the same basic technology. Those houses in the South Seas are the environments, they have stones in abundance. Okay, so some people can use the same stones, they can polish it, some people can glaze it, some people can use it just like that to build their houses, which creates differences in their houses. Similarly in Papua New Guinea, the same materials and technology have produced very different house forms. In Ghana, for example, people are using all sorts of materials that ranges from vinyl and porcelain tiles. Right now, that's what's in abundance. Like almost everyone, when someone builds out a house, they will surely use tiles. And then once it's common here, we will try and then use it. There was this time I was watching a documentary, and then I saw, I think in I'm not saying South Africa, but southern of Africa, those countries over there, there was a particular lady who was talking about how they use cow dung, their feces, cow feces. Okay, they use it in building their houses, so they mix it with clay, and then they use it in building their houses. They have it in abundance. If you have cow in abundance and they are pooping and then you feel like you can use it, it's fine. When you go to central region, I'm not sure they have it in abundance like that, so you don't get someone in central region employing such in their houses. Okay, so but those materials which are available in their environments will also influence how they build their houses. Aside the physical factors, we have social factors that influences house forms. Social factors, we have religion, economics, and also defense, which influences house forms. The first one we'll talk about is economics. Economics.
Hello, madam. Hello, madam.
Hello.
Hello,
Hello.
madam. Yes, madam.
Hello.
Hello, madam.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Hello. Can you hear me? Hello.
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay, okay. I thought I've muted myself.
I was not hearing you. That's why I started calling.
Okay, please, what was the last thing that you heard?
Started with the economic. That's all.
Okay. So RAP report identified religion, economics, and defense as social factors that can also influence how people build their house. Economics is just talking about the the daily economic activities of people. Okay, so if you're a farmer, it will influence how you build your house. If you're a fishmonger, it will influence the way you build your house. If you go to sea, it will influence the way you build your house. So an example is um, the French farmhouse is regarded as an economic tool and attributes its form to the need for man, his goods, and animals to be closer together. So in those countries, their farm is more like a farmhouse. Okay, so they live there. The human beings live there. They live there with their animals too. They might be, oh, probably they might be into animal farming. Okay, so they live there. If whatever animal that they rear, they live with them. They feel that they need to be closer to each other. So whatever thing that they are wearing, if they have a farm, they would like to live in their farm. So when they live together with them, they can be able to protect their goods and animal from thefts and then from various weather conditions. When they live apart from them and then it's raining, you have to move to that place and then push all of them inside their house so that when it rains, like it won't not beat them. But when you live with them, you can control their activities very easily because they are just around you and then you can protect them. And also it avoids transportation over a long distance within the farm. Like as I said, if you want and every morning you have to walk long distance to the farm to harvest. If we are rearing chickens, to harvest a hens to harvest their eggs. But when they live around, you can just go there anytime. If you want one, you can just harvest one and then you go your way. So they are trying to say that whatever economic activity that someone is into will influence the way they build their house. When you go to central region like this, those who smoke fish, okay, in those areas behind this place, Smiths. I've forgotten what they call them. Around Kingsway, there is a fishing community around that side.
Madam Brofiedu.
Around Kingsway.
Um,
Behind
Jejim.
the Smith.
Yes, Jejim and Brofiedu.
Really, that's where they call the Brofiedu.
No, from
I
Jejim,
don't
that behind the Smith is Jejim.
Jejim. Oh,
And
okay,
then
okay.
after Jejim, you go to Brofiedu. They are all fisherfolks.
In my head, I thought Brofiedu was around Abra, that side.
Abu Dhabi.
Okay, so around that side, you see that most of their houses have where they store their fishing nets. Okay, where they hide they store most of the things that they take to sea. They have built an area part of their houses. Unlike when you come to places like Kumasi, you have someone building a house where they are keeping they are hanging their fishing nets. So any economic activity that they are into will influence the way they build their house. If they smoke fish, you see that they have erected or they have a hut over there where they have their oven, their clay stove that they use to smoke their fishes. Okay. When you go to the northern part of Ghana, houses are designed with granary at the center for people to store their grains. They are mostly into farming. So those who have have, you know, most of the grains, the beans, the maize, the millets, and most of those come from the northern region. So they have, in building their house, they will probably have a courtyard house, and then in the center they have where they store their grains. So it's same as the granaries. They store their grains there. They have built that place purposely to store their grains to keep it from theft, and also because of the climatic conditions over there, most of their farms catches fire so easily. So you won't risk keeping those your harvest in the farm and then you come and sleep peacefully at home. They won't risk that. So they will build such place as part of their house where they can store in it. And then we have another example as the nomads. These people are just they are normal people. Okay, they don't live at one place. They move from one place to the other. Okay, their settlements are based on where they get food. Okay, so if they get food here, then they'll stay here. If the food is depleting, they'll move to another place. So in their house forms, they have different tents. And these tents will tell you that these people are Arabs, these people are Mongols, these people are Mansiers. It's a form of building to differentiate who they are. And then social factors, you have religion. Religion will also influence how people build their houses. When you see a house which is for a Muslim, you know that this house is for a Muslim. How will you know? How will you know that this particular house belongs to a Muslim? A particular housing community belongs to a Muslim? Hello? Hello?
Yes, madam. Madam, you will be seeing booths around.
Please, what do you say?
You will be seeing booths.
Oh, I'm talking about, yes, you'll be seeing booths around, but I'm talking about their house designs, okay, their house forms.
Yes,
That
madam.
particular structure will tell you that, yes.
Hello. Most of them, they have mosques. They've built mosques in their various houses, like their various homes.
There are various homes, and then most of them has a place where they will go and stand and then pray. You know, they pray. I think they pray 5 times a day or so.
Yeah, 5 times.
So in their houses, they will have a place, a small corner where, in my swim, the SHS that I went to, we were told that we don't step at the place they pray. So they will have a special place where a corner somewhere that they always pray. Okay. So we are talking about religion affecting
Madam,
their house. How
Madam, please. Most of them, they are building, the painting is green.
Yes, it's a significant color among the Muslims. Most of their buildings are green, and then they have, is it moon? They have their moon. I don't know if you realize that thing. It's like a moon, and then they have a sky.
moon.
So when you see that,
Moon.
and then when you see that house, and then you see a Christian living in that house, like it creates like a make sure see the moon and one of the. Okay, so religion also influences the way people build their houses. So Muslim built houses with inner courtyards and havens are cited as the innermost courts. What we term as the havens are where they stand to pray. And then religion also influences the Nez Perce Indians. Okay, they have underground houses for menstruating women. To these people, they see women as menstruating women as we are unfilthy at that time, and so we are not supposed to have any interaction with you. When you pray at that time, your prayers won't be answered because you are filthy at that moment. So, not to how do you say, it's like main person of assignment, you have a different place where you go when you are menstruating, underground houses. And then when you go to a community like that, almost every house will have an underground house where menstruating women are found to be. And then also certain tribes of Africa considered women as unclean. And so in building their houses, outhouses are built for them. Yeah, women houses are not parts of the main houses. Among the next parents Indians, although women are seen as unclean, but they are with them until you are menstruating, then you go away. But there are some people, you the woman, you are not clean, okay, just because of the idea that you menstruate every month, you pass as blood. So your house is different from ours. Your entrance is separate from ours, and most of the entrances are shielded. They don't let people to see you. And also we have the charms. These people also regard shadows that are cast by tree as unlucky. It's a belief that they have. If you have a tree beside by your house, definitely the shadow will cast onto your house. They believe that it's unlucky for you to have that. Okay, so both houses and streets are exposed to the terrible sun. They don't plant trees over there. That's their belief, that's their religion, it's part of them. So they won't tend to plant trees. So when you go to such housing environments, you see that they don't have trees. And then I read another one that there's also people, there's another, is it Japan also, they have trees. When you know trees, their roots travel a lot. Once they're underground, they travel a lot. So if you have a tree by your side and then the roots travel and then it comes under your house, it also means a bad omen. So you don't plant trees around your house, because if you plant it, definitely the roots will enter down, it will come under your house. So it's a bad omen for you to have such. So they don't have it. They don't do it. They don't make sure they have trees around their houses. And also Muslims women are only to be seen by close relations. Those times, those there were times where women were to be seen by close relations, but right now we have Muslims women in our classrooms. We sit with them, but there were times that those people, just women, were to be seen by close relations, those who are close to them, maybe your husband, your children, but you're not supposed to be seen by almost everyone. Your neighbor isn't even supposed to see you. So heavens are built with iron so that women and men are separated where they pray. Okay. They've shielded the women's side with iron so that women are separated from the men. And another social factor is defense. Defense. To keep out intruders, to keep out criminals. People tend to build their houses with walls, just to keep them out. So there are instances where ancient cities were walled to keep out predators. For example, the Great Wall of China. Does anyone has any idea of the Great Walls of China? Have you heard of why they built the Great Walls of China? Hello.
No, madam.
Aside you, please, anyone?
Madam, is it because of the war? Was it because of the war? Something.
What do you say?
The war that they were having.
Yes, they have very reason. One is the wars that they were having, and also to mark their territories. Okay, that this
Okay.
place belongs to China, and then you shouldn't trespass. If they are having, whilst they were having the war, you can just go to see, you can just go and stand on someone's land. So they will mark their territory that this is where we are. You're not supposed to come here. If you come here, we will definitely kill your people. Okay, so to keep people away from them, they built the Great Walls of China, and then we have Christians around us, Jericho, Ephesus. Why did they build it? The walls of Jericho. Hello.
For defense.
Yeah, we are talking about defenses, so like I think that would be the first thing to come on. Do you know any story about it? Me, the Great Walls of Jericho, I know it's a great wall, but like I haven't really read about the biblical implications of it. Yeah, you'll be a school year one on it.
Madam, please, it was for defense, as she said.
Oh, okay. Okay. So it was for
So they were
defense.
actually protecting themselves from the predators and that of their enemies as well.
Okay. So thank you for that. So we have example like the Great Walls of Giant and Jericho. So people built for defense, and then when it comes to when it comes to our settings right now, most people build the houses with walls. Okay, to keep people the criminals out of the from the house, and then when they sometimes they build with walls, they have wires which electrical current are passing through, so that if criminals can jump the wall, they will get electrocuted. So it also influences the way people build their house. And then we have the third one, as aside the physical, the social, we have socio-cultural factors, okay, where the social and the cultural factors also influence people's houses. People see themselves as part of the society in which they build. Okay, so in such cases, it will influence how they will build their house. So we identified sociocultural factors like the basic needs, family structure, position of women, and the need for privacy and social relations to affect how people build their houses. We all have to eat. Okay, there's a universal need. It's not a want. You need to eat. You need to sleep. As such, when you are building your house, you surely build a sleeping area. You build an eating area. You build where you eat, you cook. Let's take traditional courtyard houses, for example. The first thing that they will build is where they will sleep. Okay. Then cooking area may be inside the house or outside the house. When it comes to various school hostels, sometimes students will not have where they'll be cooking. Okay, so in that one room that they got, they will just arrange just some parts of a corner in their rooms as where they'll be cooking. They need to cook, they need to play, they need to work. It will affect the way people build their houses. Okay, and then we have the family structure. Family structure. So how the family is organized, if it is a monogamous family, if it's a polygamous family. When you have polygamous family, the husband will surely have a house. If he has 5 wives and then they all have children, he will make sure that each wife has a house to house her children. Okay, when it's a monogamous house, they might like to build a detached house where they will all be together. But a monogamous family will try to build a courtyard house where each room will be they'll have a central courtyard where they all can come and have their activities. And then in some societies too, eating takes place in the grandfather's room. So his room is so big. The grandfather's room is big to accommodate almost everyone in the family so that they can eat there. In northern Cameroon, where polygamy is practiced, the husband has a hut at the center of the compound, and then surrounded by his hut are the huts of his wives. Okay, so his house is in the middle, and then his wives' huts are surrounded by his house, and then others too. The husband doesn't have a house. It's his wives who have the houses, so he goes and visits. There are days per the arrangements, the days that he spends in their houses. And then we have position of women. It's almost like how religion also talks about social factors, like religion also influence houses form. So the position of women, people see women as you are supposed to be in the kitchen. Okay, so in some religion that I've heard that the women sleep in the kitchen, because that is where you are supposed to be. You are mostly in the kitchen, so it won't be a bad idea having your room in the kitchen. Okay, it all boils to the fact that women are seen as unclean and are not worthy to be seen by visitors. So in designing houses, they build the women's entrances separate so that men and women will not pass through the same places. You have entrances that are separated too. So women entrances are always shielded so that no one will see them. No one will even know. They know that you have a woman in the house, but we don't want people to see that we have such a person in the house. And then we have the need for privacy. The need for privacy will influence how people build their houses. We can have walls, people building walls for privacy. Okay. They are building walls for privacy. I lived in a mines quarters in Obuasi, and then our houses were the same. Like the design was almost the same, but for people to have their own privacy, they built they erected some structures with wood just to cover their side of the house. There were houses that were living in 3-in-1, and then people were living in 2-in-1. So those who live in 3-in-1, some people don't want like their things to be like everything that they do to be seen by others. So they will just demarcate just their side so that they will be having their private things over there. In the Hausa society, the first building entails the construction of high walls. Even if it means it should delay the construction of the room, or when they build the walls, they will not have more blocks to build their houses. They want their privacy, so they will build their walls first before building the main houses. And then social relations too also influence how you build your house or the housing community. So we have examples like the young men and the women in Dinka cattle camps have for many years met once a week for dancing in an open space on the outskirts of the Juba in southern Sudan in the dry season. So in building their housing communities, okay, they provide an open space where once a week young men and women will come and then dance over there, and then to meet themselves, to have that interaction, okay, to meet people. Courting couples in Hanoi have to book spaces under the authorities, with the authorities under a particular tree in parks, to spend time alone together because the city is crowded. So they have designed a place, okay, where they can have time alone. So you just go, you book, and then you can have a time alone with whatever parts, whoever you are dating, or a partner that you intend or you have interest in. So in Ghana too, we have the traditional houses, the courtyard houses, where they have large number of rooms with a courtyard. Okay, the courtyard, as we have discussed from our previous lessons, that's the place where various family activities are held. So if you have the extended family living together, that's where the grandmother can mobilize all her grandchildren and then sit with them one evening and tell them stories. When you have visitors, you can sit with the visitors in the courtyard in the center. So those are basically what influences house forms. And the next one is factors that influences house needs. These factors, okay, they are something that really tricks students during exam time. We have factors that influences house forms. These ones we're talking about the designs of the house, okay, and then we have another one, factors that will influence why you need a house. Okay, there are two different things. So the factors that influences house forms are the physical factors, social factors, and then social cultural factors. And then the factors that influences how changing housing needs are the first one that we talk about is population increase. Population increase. For me, I live at a new site in Obuasi. So the first time that we came to stay here, that was around 2014. The place was, it was a new site, so like it was really a new site, like we were almost in a bush. Okay. But as time moved on, we are not experiencing how we came like we were living in a bush. We have people living almost all around. At first, you have to walk to a particular junction before you get a car. But right now, I can get a car just to in front of my house. All this as a result of population increase. Population increase has resulted as a matter of improved health improvements, good nutrition, and then improvement in economic conditions. So people are giving birth almost every day. A family can start with just two people, and then their children will grow, and then they'll be giving birth away. So like we are all increasing. When the population increases, they need to stay in the houses. They need to, it's a universal need for everyone. We all have the right to shelter. Okay, so they all need to stay in houses, and as such, they have to be building houses. So more people will mean pressure on the land. Pressure on the land will mean more people, you have to be building rooms to cater for all those people. Population increase goes hand in hand with urbanization, the process of urbanization. Urbanization, this is where people move from their rural areas to the urban communities. Okay, so it involves the growth of urban centers at a number of levels, from small urban centers to huge mega cities. So the urban centers may be small, they may have some small houses, over like 2, 3, 4 houses in a particular community. And then you see people migrating from their rural areas in search of greener pastures, in search of better jobs. They all come to the city, and then you see that they'll be building they'll have to live, they'll have to stay in houses, they'll have to stay in structures. So you see that they will be erecting structures over there. It is believed that people transfer their old forms that they have in the villages into the urban areas. So older parts of the cities reflect the traditional forms of house building. This is so evident when you go to some parts in Accra. You may have nice buildings, like some buildings, like you see that these buildings are top tier apartments. And then you move some steps ahead, and then you see that just some small area, people have crowded buildings, like they came to Accra and they don't have a place to stay. Okay, back in their villages, you can just put some 4 sticks over there, and then get something to roof it, and then get something to cover it. You have your wall, you have your room, and you stay in it. So then when they come and they don't have anything, and then they have that small, and they can erect such structures, and then they live in it. So it's believed that people transfer those houses that they will live, the house forms that they were having, into the city. This makes the city to have two parts: the official city, which is registered. Okay, those places are highly regulated, they follow all the rules and regulations that are supposed to have here. I'm talking about the aesthetic rules, all those things. They pay their taxes. Okay, it is legal, and then it's the housing environment is it's a good housing environment, as we discussed last week. And then you have the unofficial city, where those places are kind of slum. They are illegal housing environments. Sometimes you hear that the government is demolishing structures over there. And these illegal communities forms a large percentage of the city. The houses there are not built by qualified architects. They build with scraps and any material that they find over there. So you can see that even their housing environments are not even properly planned. There are problems of scale of intense overcrowding. They have sanitation problem. They have water problem. I believe I'm not the only person who is scared of walking in Islam areas. Am I the only person? Hello. Please, who is also scared of walking in Islam areas? Hello.
Hi,
madam.
madam.
Aside not having untidy, like their environment is not tidy. Me, the reason why I'm always afraid of walking in other places is that the security over there is very bad. Okay, they may not have lights at some place, and then when you are walking there, they can easily question you, they can easily meet you and then steal from you, and then you can't shout for help because it is believed that almost everyone over there knows what they are doing, so you can't even shout for help. So me, I'm afraid of walking in those slum areas. So there's the issues of security, the hygiene, like you might walk in and then you might be walking behind someone's house and then just someone's washroom water passes over there. You have no option than to step in it before you move to another place. Okay, education provision also becomes a problem. So we have examples like Nima, and then Nima is not the only place which is having such. When you go to other places in Kumasi, Sunyane, they have crowded communities like that. And another reason that accounts for people changing their why people need houses are planning regulations and then building standards. The planning regulations and the building standards. These ones we are talking about the zoning laws, the building codes, the housing policies that restricts housing deliveries. Okay. The planning regulations will tell you that this type of house should not be built here. Okay, in this kind of community, because of the planes are coming here, you shouldn't build houses with this kind of as tall as this. You shouldn't have flat houses over here. It will tell you that this house, this particular place is a residential area. This place is an industrial area. Okay, like they have a lot of laws regulating how we build our houses. And these laws will make you get an environment, let me use nice. Okay, nice in the sense that the kind of buildings that they have, it's a good standard houses. The kind of building that they have, the environments you see the houses, the kind of roads they have. Okay, it's nice as compared to other buildings, other housing environments who doesn't follow those building regulations. So all this will also influence how you build your house, and or the particular not how you build a house, the particular type of house that you might want to live in it. The building regulations will influence you to stay in a highly regulated society. I know most of us will be happy to live in areas, a gated community. You choose a gated community over a slum area. Okay, a slum area won't be that. I'm not talking about those really bad slum area, but like you surely choose a gated community. You feel that those communities are worth living than living in a, a slum area. Then we have changing expectations of people. Many people change their type of dwelling because of the changing expectation, which may occur as a result of experience that they have had and their aspirations. Because of an experience that you have had, you tend to build your house in different ways. most of the buggers, those who go outside and then they come back, okay, because of the type of houses that they are experienced, they are prone to, they have seen. When they come back to Ghana, they want to build something similar to it, just because of the experiences that they have had. When you've lived in a house, okay, let's take this example. Before you got your postings, okay, you've lived in a house where you had tinted glass, you had POP, you had fence wall, you were living in a house that had tiles. I'm not sure when you go to another community, no matter the amount of money you have, you will want a house with such features. Okay, your first interest won't be an Atakwame or a clay house. Your first interest will be this kind of houses because of the experience you have had and the aspirations that what you want to see yourself. We learned out that our house, in a way, is an extension of ourselves. Okay, we want people to see that we have once lived in this type of houses. So you choose those kind of houses than over other houses. So factors that change contributed to the changing housing needs are what we have discussed right now, as the population increase, urbanization, planning regulations, and the changing expectations of people. Next week, we will talk about government's role in providing houses for us. Okay, it's just some few slides that we'll talk about. So I'm expecting everyone to go and read it. Before we start our class, it will be a discussion. Then we continue our class. You look at how governments, the various governments that came, what did they do in terms of housing? Did they build for us? If they built for us, did they establish some housing schemes for us that we can even, we have the State Housing Corporation, you can read about them, and then next week when you come, we discuss about it. So today, these were what we were supposed to do, the changing housing needs and then changing housing forms. So if you have a question, so if you have a question, you just raise your hand and then we discuss it and then we end the session. If you have a contribution, you can also add to it. It's not just a question, you have a contribution, you can also add to it. Hello.
Hi, madam.
Mr. Bernard, do you have anything?
No, madam.
Hello,
I'm okay
madam.
with it.
Are you sure?
Yes, madam.
Are you sure it's not because you want to leave early? Hello, Mr. Bernard. Okay,
Yes, madam.
I heard someone say, Madam, please, I didn't see who unmuted herself. I think it's Madam Ellen or Madam Francisca. Madam Ellen, please, was it you? Hello. Madam Ruth, do you have any? Madam Ruth.
Hi.
Hello, madam.
Yes, Madam Ruth.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Please, I have a question about the types of houses. The
Okay.
first, please, I want to ask the way our classroom, basic school classroom block is built. What form will it be classified under?
It can be classified as a terrace.
Okay.
Do you remember what terrace houses are?
Yeah, you said they are. They share one common veranda. Uh-huh.
If what you are saying, do they have such characteristics?
Yes, please.
Okay. So most of the houses in schools have such houses, boarding houses, where the girls' dorm is, where the boys' dorm is. They have such a type of houses. Please, are you okay?
Yes, please. Thank you.
You're welcome. Please, anyone else?
Madam, please, concerning the classroom, can we also classify some as the courtyard or the compound house?
Okay, so those types, okay, the classification will be based on how they were built. So if you can school me on how the design is, then it will influence what the type of house it is. Okay, so
Madam,
why
the
do you
one
say that?
with and gated without a open space.
Please come again. Please say it again.
Madam, please, the one with an open space, like in a square form,
Okay.
and then having that gate.
So I think I've seen those type of schools classrooms in is it mostly found in rural areas?
Yes, madam.
Like
That's
some new buildings that I don't know who built it for, but sometimes NGOs and others will build it for just the KG or the crèche. Is it that type? Madam Vivian. Madam Vivian.
Yes, madam. Yes,
Please, is it
madam.
that type?
Yes, madam.
So if it's that type, then we can say it's a courtyard house.
Yeah.
Okay. It's a courtyard house. If it is built around a big space in the middle, we will definitely call it a courtyard house.
No. Thank you.
You're welcome. Did I see another hand raised? Hello. Okay, so let's do this question and answers. So well, I'm not sharing my screen right now, but according to wrap reports, which factors influence house forms? Okay, identify 3 factors that influence house form. You can just unmute yourself and then tell us which factors influences a house form. Madam Gifty.
Madam, physical factor, that is climate.
Okay, so climate and the need for shelter. And then who else? Mr. Bernard. My brother is called Bernard, that's why I just like mentioning your name, Mr. Bernard.
Okay, madam. I think it's social factor.
Social factor. Please, can you give me one example under the social factor? Hello, Mr. Bernard. You identify the
madam.
social factor, and I mean an example of a social factor that will influence your house form. Anyone to help him?
Madam, please, economics.
Economics. Please, can you give us an example?
And related,
Madam Cecilia, can you give us an example?
like the economic activity of the people, it will influence the type of house they will build. Like the fisher folks, they build their house to suit their economic activities.
All right, thank you very much. And Madam Naomi. Madam Naomi.
Yeah, madam, now I was talking about the religious aspects also.
All right, please can you give us an example of a religion and then
Where Muslims, they build inner courtyard in their houses. And then also most of the women are also not allowed to come around when they are in their menses and other stuff.
All right, thank you very much. Madam Francisca.
Madam, I also talk about defense.
Okay, so
Another social factor that is using walls and hinges, fences, and other things to um, protect yourself from predators and enemies, and also sometimes from thieves.
okay, thank you very much. And then the last one. So if they identify physical factors, social factors, and the last factor. The last factor.
Social culture factors.
Thank you very much. Okay, so once we have this in mind, next week, God willing, we'll continue our class. Next week, Thursday, yeah, we'll continue our class for today, from where we left. Okay, so please prompt me. Do you all have the slides? I'm talking about this course. This course. I'm not talking about Sunday. I'm talking about today's housing management. Do you all have it?
No.
Yes, madam.
All right, I'm glad you all have it. Okay, so thank you for having time to listen to what I have to teach today, sharing your time with me, and then we'll meet next week, God willing, Thursday. So for now, good night, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your day, and then I'm pleading with you that you read. Once you have the slides, you read on the how government's what governments did in terms of housing. And the next week, God willing, we just discuss it and then we'll move on since we have a lot to cover next week. So today I'm just not feeling well. That's why I didn't continue that much. So next week, God willing, we'll continue our class. So goodbye, everyone. Enjoy your sleep this evening.
Goodbye.
Bye
Bye.
bye.
Sunny, where do I see Siala? Sunny.
Mabo, maba.
Where do I see Siala?
Namindra. Womba. Ana problem.
I don't know whether they will break or the Madam Cho has finished. When I was living here, they were about 46. So maybe she has also closed it.
Hey.
Maybe she has also closed. Hello.
Obi akura few.
Phone. Hmm.
written to there.
owó tí ó fi ní mẹ́rin mọ́ pọ̀ mọ́ àkọ́kọ́ sá ẹni bí aṣẹ́ nà fún